Hi, welcome back to Mechanics PAA 9. Time to check a few things under the hood and around the vehicle. Let's go. We already looked at the parts of the vehicle and we already looked at how the four-stroke engine works. Now we're going to look at how we're going to maintain this vehicle and do the checks that we need to do to keep this in running order. One of the first things we need to do is typically something you should do every time you start something new. Read the instructions. Are there instructions? You may not know that there are, but there are some. Let's go to the owner's manual. It's usually in the glove box. There it is. We're going to pull out the biggest book, nice thick book like that, and we're going to look inside. So let's have a look at our owner's manual. If you look in the first few pages, you'll see the table of contents. That makes sense. And you want to turn to the section that says something like, this one says vehicle care or something, a maintenance schedule or something like that, and you can turn to that section. In this one, it's section 10-1. So I'm going to turn to section 10-1. And then it has another table of contents. Now, on that table of contents, I've got vehicle checks. That's probably where we're going to go. Headlight aiming, bulb replacement, wheels and tires. So let's start with vehicle checks. Just going to turn a few pages. The first one here says, shows you how to open the hood. And then we have one with a picture here. So let's take our owner's manual and head under the hood. Okay, before we get started, I need to tell you something. The dad in me says you need to be careful. There's things under this hood, in this car, that are dangerous, and we need to be careful around them. There's a couple rules that I want you to remember. When you're under the hood and you're looking and checking stuff, make sure the engine is off. Make sure the engine is off. Make sure the engine is off. Things are spinning really fast underneath there. And if you get your hair caught or your scarf or something else that you're wearing around your neck, maybe you're headed out to a wedding and you're wearing a tie, it could get caught and you could die. So, you can still go under there, just make sure the engine's off. The second thing, if it says don't open hot, guess what? Don't open hot. There's no Yabbit law. I don't know if you've heard of the Yabbit law. It's the Yabbit, I'm a teenager. Nothing happens to me. It happens. So I need you to be careful. If it says do not do something, they put that there for a reason. Because stupid people do things. Don't be stupid people. All right, now let's check a few things. So now that we've had a look at our picture, I want you to look at your engine and your picture, and the first thing I want you to do is see if you can identify every point on your picture on your car. Give it a try right now. Well, now that you know where everything is, I want to give you a few pointers on how to check some of the fluids. So when you have to check with a dipstick, you're going to pull the dipstick out first. And then you're going to be ready with a rag. Hold on. Be right back. Now we're ready. So the first thing you want to do is you want to pull the dipstick out and you're going to immediately wipe it off. If your engine was running just ahead of time, then you have probably oil up inside everything, and it needs time to settle down into the oil pan, into the very bottom of the engine. So you're going to pull it out, wipe it off, pull it back out, and then you're going to have a look.
The instructions in your manual will tell you exactly how to check the dipstick to make sure you have enough oil in it. I've got a cooling system overflow tank and a master cylinder reservoir here. I also have a clutch cylinder reservoir that I could check too. I have lots of different things. Let's see, what else do I have? I don't have power steering on this car. It's electric power steering, so there's nothing that I can do about that. But probably on your car, you have some kind of power steering fluid reservoir. You can have a look at that. And it usually will have a full hot and a full cold line. Or it'll say maximum and minimum. When they're talking about full hot and full cold, they're talking about if you have used the system, then it is hot. So on a cooling system, if you're driving along and it's warm, you've warmed the vehicle up and it's been 10 minutes and you've driven it around and you want to check the fluid level, that's going to be at the hot level. When you turn the engine off and it sits overnight and you go check it in the morning, you'll see it's come down to the cool level. And so you need to check it cool or hot. The same goes for your power steering fluid. Your brake fluid only has a maximum and a minimum. Once again, if you have any questions or you're not sure where to find something, just take a picture of the underside of your hood and send it to me, and I will see if I can figure out exactly where the parts are that you're looking for and where to look. Well, now we're done under the hood. Let's check out a few things on the rest of the vehicle. So one thing you can check on the outside is our wiper blades. We want these wiper arms to have some strong tension. They need to push hard up against the windshield. We also want to make sure that the rubber blades are very soft so that they can have some good squeegee action on the windshield. Excellent. This looks pretty good. We also need to make sure that it can move back and forth freely. If there's crud in there and stuff like that after a hard winter, then that can sometimes happen. Another thing we want to check is your tires. Now, jump in your car, turn the wheel all the way to one way, and so that you can see some of the treads. You got to be careful if your tires are worn out. If you've got a bad spot, like a bald spot, there could be little wires sticking out, and so you don't want to rub your hands on here just in case it could stab into your finger. So be careful about that. What are we looking for here? Well, when you're driving down the road, we want to have as much rubber contacting the road as possible. But why do they put these grooves in there? That's so that if there's any water or any ice or slush, that it has somewhere to go so that this part of the rubber, the treads, can touch the road. And so how do we know if the tires are worn out? Well, the first thing we want to look at is to see if we have even wear all the way across. It should be worn out just the same on the inside as it is on the outside. Now your front tires, they'll wear a little bit different than the ones in the back. That's because you're steering with those tires, and there's some extra wear that happens around the outside of the tire, but it shouldn't be too extreme. That's why we rotate the tires. This tire will wear different than the one on the other side on the front, different than the back ones. And so if you take this and rotate this tire to the back and then over to the front and over to the back and then back to here, you're getting even wear all the way across so that all four tires are wearing evenly. And if they're wearing evenly, that gives you the best handling when you're driving down the road. Okay, let's talk about the tire tread a little bit. On the inside of your tire treads here, you're going to see a little bump every once in a while. I usually take a pen and I just go in between the treads and I run my pen along and I feel that little bump. Bump is there too and there. That's called a wear bar. That wear bar is there for you to tell if it gets close to that wear bar. If these are worn off enough down to the wear bar, it's time to replace your tires. Another thing we can check is the shocks and the struts. This is how we do it. Just go to the back of the vehicle and we want to bounce this until it's going pretty good. And then we let go when it's at the bottom of the bounce. And when we're done and let go at the bottom of the bounce, it shouldn't bounce any more than 3 times and come to a stop. If it keeps on bouncing, that means your shocks or your struts need replacement. This one's pretty good. Now lights. We got lots of lights. Brake lights, signal lights, license plate lights, center high mount brake lights. They're all over the place.
So what kind of lights we got going on here? Well, we have tail lights. That's when you turn your headlights on so that the people behind you can see in the dark that you're there. You can also see some lights in the middle over the license plate. Those are the license plate lights. Now he's checking the signal lights, left side and the right side also. And what other kind of lights are we going to need? Oh, I think we're going to put the brake lights on. You can see there's 3 brake lights, the top and 1 on each side. They are red. And one more set of lights that we need to do. We need to put on the backup lights. And those backup lights are white and they're right underneath where the brake lights are. Now we're going to head around to the front of the car and look at the headlights. We turn the key on. Those are the daytime running lights. They turn on whenever the key is on and running and you're driving down the road. We've got signal lights, 1 on the drivers, 1 on the passengers. Below that, you'll be able to see some marker lights on the side of the vehicle. Now we'll check the high beams and the low beams. If you watch the headlights, you can see them get brighter and dimmer.
That's your automotive maintenance checks. Now that you've done that, maybe you found a few things that are wrong. Things that you need to maybe top up the oil a bit, shows a little bit low. You're not sure about that antifreeze level. Maybe the tires, is that okay? You should take it to someone who knows what they're talking about. Well, I hope you've learned something about your car. It sure is interesting to me, and I hope it's interesting to you. It won't be long until you're going to be driving a car, and so these are the things you should check regularly. Thanks, and I'll see you later.